Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your comments, and thank you for your thumbs up. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. Well, allow me to introduce you to these three lovely ladies from left to right: Stacey Dash, Amber Rose, and Nicki Minaj. These women represent the class of melanated immigrants who come to the United States, attach themselves to Black American culture, but ultimately turn out to be a colossal disappointment to Black Americans, not to mention the added bonus of embarrassing themselves. So they do have an immigrant story. Stacey Dash's mother is Mexican, so she is an immigrant by way of her mother. Amber Rose is an immigrant from the Cape Verdes Islands, and Nicki Minaj is an immigrant from Trinidad. Now, they may have been born in the United States, but their parents migrated here from somewhere else. And it almost takes an immigrant story for people to make the mistake that these three made, and others have made it, and they never learn. They never learn, so we need to get into it. So immigrants come to the United States with a head full of dreams. Melanated immigrants realize that they are not going to fit into white society. White people make that very clear. So they leech on to the lane that gives them the best chance for success. And for many, that means aligning with Black American culture because it is influential, expressive, and commercially powerful. So these three have gained a level of success, and Nicki Minaj has gained great success by aligning with Black American culture. But they're also influenced by the cultures of their parents' homelands. And those cultures are more often than not anti-Black. But they have to use Black culture as a stepping stone to get where they want to go. In the case of Stacey Dash, what little acting career she had, she gained by assimilating with Black Americans and getting roles that Black actresses really should have gotten. But she did get somewhere, but not as far as she probably wanted to get. In the case of Amber Rose, she rose from being a stripper to being the side chick of Black rappers, and then when she ran out with that, then she had to come up with another strategy because she ran out. She was the sidekick of at least two very successful rappers, Kanye West and Wiz Khalifa, who I think is presently in jail overseas. And then she was with some other rapper whose name escapes me, but Cher, who is 80-something years old, stole Amber Rose's last boyfriend. So that lets you know how much clout Amber Rose has. But Nicki Minaj, coming from Trinidad, came to the United States and clicked into the rap scene. And Nicki Minaj became and remains a superstar rapper. But these immigrants bring an anti-Blackness with them that maybe doesn't surface until much later when their careers start to fizzle out. And then they reach back into their minds because in the back of their minds, they always want to appeal to that white audience. And this is how I'm reading it. They really want to be able to connect with that white audience. So when their careers start going on the decline, then they have the bright idea that now is the time for them to try to reach into white society get a piece of that large white audience, and become a bigger star than they ever were dealing with black people. So they get the bright idea that they are going to join MAGA. They're going to become big time MAGA supporters after being Democrats and standing on the issues that black Americans were concerned about and being a part of the black American political movement. Now they become our adversaries and they go into the MAGA forum and they found their people now because they're there with those white people. And all of their dreams are about to come true. They get to speak at these big Republican conventions. They get to go on Fox News and talk about how awful black Americans are, or whatever it is the people on Fox News want them to talk about. So all of a sudden, for that quick minute, they've got the attention of those white Republican conservatives, something that they've always wanted. Now, these immigrants are operating on what they understand about white supremacy, and they brought this with them. They brought this information with them. In the United States, aligning with black people can limit your opportunities, and distancing yourself from black people culturally or politically can open doors in certain spaces. So they knew from the beginning they weren't whites, so they had to use black culture as a stepping stone. But they had it in the back of their minds that aligning yourself with black Americans can limit your opportunities. So now that their careers are on the decline, they feel like this is the time for me to play that card, distance myself from black Americans, and get over here with these white people to breathe life into my waning career. So these three women, I'm going to say they made the immigrants' mistake. They mistakenly thought that they could build a career on the backs of black people and then pivot and draw in a white audience when they had saturated the black market and their careers were on the decline. So these three women made what I consider to be a fatal mistake, especially in the entertainment world. They built their careers on black culture, on black people's culture. And then when their careers were on the decline, they decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw in the white audience now. I'm going to appeal to I'm going to appeal to the white audience. And I'm going to do that by going to MAGA. And I'm going to do that by becoming conservative and start speaking on conservative issues and using conservative talking points. And they really think that's going to work until they try it. So Stacey Dash tried it first. She went on Fox News and she did a few little pieces on Fox News before they fired her. And then she married some white men, just like Candace Owens. They married these white men after they've known them 10 or 12 days. And in Stacey Dash's case, the marriage blew up in her face. I think they ended up calling the police. Something happened down there in Florida. And, she just crashed and burned. And I don't think anybody has heard much from her since. Then it was Amber Rose's turn. She had run out. The rappers had gotten tired of her. She had run out of the rappers. There were no more. And in Amber Rose's case, she had run out of all of the rappers that were interested in her. And I guess she needed the money. So she ended up at the Republican National Convention speaking, telling those white people, I found my audience. Telling those white people, I found my people. And I believe she might have thought that was going to bring her some kind of engagement. The biggest problem with Amber Rose is that she doesn't have any talent. So even if white people were interested in supporting her, which they would not have been, she didn't have anything to offer because she doesn't have any skills except walking around in tight clothes. But Nicki Minaj is the biggest one that I think made the biggest mistake. I don't know what's going on with Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj has been tremendously successful in the rap business in the United States, but she's 42 years old. And that's old for a rapper. And these young people are coming on the scene. So now she's on social media, bickering with everybody. And then out of the clear, I don't think anybody saw that coming. There she was at a Turning Point USA conference being interviewed by none other than Erica Kirk. And I still say basically making herself, well, and I still say basically embarrassing herself. Now, according to reports, Nicki Minaj has lost many supporters and faced significant backlash due to her MAGA aligned statements and appearances, and the reaction has been loud and public, as in this case.
Hey, I have reported Onika Tanya Mirage, better known as Nicki Minaj, to ICE.
Well, look like somebody beat me to it. You had to go ahead and sign it. I love being petty. I swear to God.
So there's a petition going around to have Nicki Minaj deported back to Trinidad because she's not an American citizen. So there's a petition going around on social media to get Nicki Minaj deported back to Trinidad. And the last I checked, it had reached up to 20,084 signees. So that's how strongly some people feel about Nicki Minaj aligning herself with MAGA. What they never seem to understand is it doesn't work. Aligning themselves with those white conservatives is not going to work. You do better to try to reinvent yourself and stick with Black American culture, because there's a certain amount of white people that support Black American culture anyway. So you do better to try to stick with the culture that you're already with. But in the back of their minds, they really think they need to align with white people. Now, that's what I believe. But there's something that has always proven to be true every time one of these immigrants tries to align themselves with white audiences after they have a decline in their popularity. People who support a political movement don't suddenly buy albums or stream music, attend concerts, or follow pop culture personalities. Political audiences, such as the MAGA audience, are not the same as entertainment audiences. They don't reward celebrity pivots with long-term loyalty. In other words, they might cheer you on when you're at the convention talking about conservative issues, saying things they want you to say, but they're not going to all of a sudden become your fan. So when they alienate their Black audience, or in other words, when they piss Black people off, hoping to gain a white audience, they often end up with no audience at all, because you're still the same person that the white people were saying that your music was filthy and you were a degenerate. And they don't change just because you come to a convention and adopt their talking points. So anyway, y'all, these three got a wake-up call, and they're going to continue to get these wake-up calls as long as they think that in the back of their minds they're going to pivot over to the white audience and get a bigger fan base. They're going to always be disappointed, because white people don't roll like that. And if they would listen to us once in a while, they would learn something about America. But anyway, y'all, let me know what you think about the video, and have a good day.